Everybody's
Okay.
phone on mute.
I hope mine is.
Why don't we just say, if you want to know more about us as individuals, head on over to the 56+1 podcast, watch or listen to the first video. We do the intro there.
That's fine.
That way
meet the founding fathers.
Right, we tie them in.
Or meet the founders of 56+1.
We're live right now.
Okay.
There you go. Rich, you got the screen up?
I'm not seeing it yet.
I don't see.
Did this yesterday? Okay, so we are live.
I'm not seeing it. Let me change people, though. Change profiles.
All right. We got one in.
All right, guys. This is Rich from 56+1. I'm sitting here with Eric and Rob. We're just going to let the camera roll for a couple minutes, let some people click on the link and get started.
Join on in.
Join on in.
I'm sure people are either having dinner or getting home or still on their commute home.
I'm still not seeing the...
Slowly populating. Just hang with us, folks. We'll get going soon.
But how come I'm not seeing the live now?
Rich has got it.
I want to mute it.
Hit it with a baseball bat. That'll mute it.
All right, so what is the... I know what the password is. What is the login for Super?
That's a good question. That's going to be in the folder.
All right, what time is it? 6:02.
They're slowly coming in.
For those of you who have joined us so far, thank you. We're just going to hang out, try to get a couple viewers on. I don't want to waste people's time, but I know we said we were going to start at 6, so we're a couple minutes behind schedule as far as getting rolling here, but we want to make this worthwhile, make sure we have people that can listen to what we have to say. Dave, thanks for the comment.
What happened to... Oh, I got to go on to the drive. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it another 2 minutes and then we'll get started.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I'm actually up here.
You can see yourself?
There we go.
No.
We got some people coming
famous. 10 viewers. Good stuff. You know, the other problem I'm finding with Facebook is even though we're putting out the post, it seems to be getting lost in the sauce. And it's like I've pinned stuff to the top of the page, and even when I go back to look at it, it's hard to find.
Give it time.
So can everybody that's joining just say hi, just so we can get just interested in who's actually following us as far as who the people are. Are you new? Tell us how you heard about us. Or if this is your first time to the band public benefits page, what you believe about the cause, and what else can we do? Dude, I'm not seeing any of this. This is frustrating. Is it because you're on it?
Hey, Vinny. Hey,
Yep,
George.
we got Vinny, George, Dave,
Rihanna.
I just missed that one.
All right, 6:05. So
All right.
we're going to get this thing rolling.
Yep, let's get rocking.
So I
and
want to
rolling
thank
there.
you guys for joining us. We're the 56+1 team.
What is going on? Oh,
Hold on.
Mute me your computer.
we're noobs at this. All right, we're good.
We got Vinny's from New Haven. He hates the public benefit scam.
Vinny, what do you got down there? You're on UI, right?
All right, so I'm going to start this again. My name is Rich. I'm here with, I'm Rich. We got Eric over here to my right, and across the way is Rob. We actually are partners in a team called 56+1. And basically that led us to where we're at today with this banned public benefits charge. So I just wanted to introduce us, give a name to the face. We actually have a video on our 56+1 page that tells you a little bit more about ourselves, kind of an introductory thing. So I don't want to go through all of that, but tonight our goal is to discuss what we hope to accomplish in this lawsuit. I want to talk about the banpbc.com page that Eric worked so diligently to create, and talk about the petition that people have been signing. Then I want to get into the GoFundMe page, which is really the backbone of what this is. Without the GoFundMe, we end up nowhere. So the other thing that we want to address is scams. I've gotten a lot of comments on the Facebook page that we're trying to scam people and what have you. So I want to touch on that a little bit. But like I said, my name is Rich. Very interested in the Constitution, amendments, the rights of the people. And these public benefits charges is in our mind as a team, we all feel that they're unconstitutional. So that's our motivation behind it. But Rob, did you want to jump in and say anything about yourself, or?
It's an egregious overreach of government.
And Eric,
So-
And we've pretty much drawn our line, line in the sand.
line in the sand, yeah.
Yep. And this is our hill.
That's it.
So this goes to a massive underlying First Amendment breach and violation, and I want people to understand, and we'll get into detail of why that is. There's also precedent law from previous Supreme Court case rulings on this, not the exact subject matter of energy, but the exact subject matter of compulsory fees and how you have no way to opt out of them. And that is the biggest issue that we're facing with this combined public benefits charge, as well as it being discriminatory in many facets in manners whether or not you believe with the reason why it's there or you don't, and or the benefits that may come from it. I've gone so far as being able to even paint this into a Ponzi scheme, if you want to call it that, as well as just a complete a violation of the Fifth Amendment under the Takings Clause or the 14th Amendment under due process. Again, we'll get into that. So we want to kind of capture the essence of this podcast and get Q&As out of the way. I also want people to understand there is a lag on our end that if you type something into the Facebook page, it's going to take 15 seconds or so before we see it and can respond.
So basically, our end goal, and we all know we want to not have to pay the public benefits charge. So the end goal is to take this case to the state of Connecticut,
High Court, Supreme Court.
the Supreme Court in the state of Connecticut, and get this charge removed in its entirety from our utility bills on the premise that it is an unconstitutional charge. So that's where we need legal representation. I'm not a legal expert by any means. I haven't seen anybody come forward on the page that says they're willing to take on the legal battle personally. So we've done our due diligence, and we do have a lawyer. His name's Cameron Atkinson out of Atkinson Law. He's out of Bridgeport, correct?
In Bridgeport.
and we've had several conversations with him. And
Which tell him, Rich, that in itself, just to find a lawyer to take this case has been a gigantic hurdle to
absolutely
accomplish, as we talked about before.
We've had many stories of just attorneys don't want to touch this charge. They don't want to touch this case at all. Either conflict of interest or they're involved.
There's just
it.
not enough money in it in other
Right.
aspects too for them, right? So while we're asking the public for a reachable goal, which we believe is very easily attainable if everybody contributes, it's still not a lot of money considering the feat that the lawyer's taken on. And when I've shopped this out to other attorneys, and then I've gone back to attorneys that I know, the rate that Cameron's provided us is more than fair. These guys would be a lot higher. But I do want to go back to the end goal aspect of this, of why we want to pursue this in a legal manner, as opposed to we get the pushback of, well, this charge is going away in April. So go ahead, Rich. Why?
Yeah, I don't know how long you guys have gone back in the history of your bills, but I think that public benefits charge has been there for, someone said 10 years. I don't know if
No,
that's
it's
true,
been there for longer than that, 40 years.
40
or
years.
Yeah.
So
Just under different names.
the public benefit charge has been there for a long time. Now, the difference is when it was 1% of your bill, 2% of your bill, $7, $10, nobody cared. It was, okay, that's my electric bill. But now we're seeing upwards of 30% of people's total bills. I can tell you personally, my monthly public benefit charge is anywhere between $120 and $150. And I just actually got my second cutoff notice today. So I have not been paying the public benefits portion of my utility bill for about five months now, I believe. And Eric and Rob are in the same boat. I don't think that you guys have received shut-off notices
I
yet.
have not.
But
Not yet.
for people that think the electric company will not shut your power off and that it's illegal to shut your power off in the winter, that is false. They can and will shut your power off unless you can prove to them, per their policy, that you have a financial hardship or a medical condition or you meet different qualifications. So just keep that in mind. They can shut your power off. So.
But I do want to go back as to this whole thing of the Band-Aid and if it goes away in April.
Right.
And why we want this to be completely removed from the electric bill and disbanded in its entirety. Because what we've learned from this, albeit that it was 1%, 3%, what have you, of our bills previously, what this has shown us more so than anything is that any politician, any political group, pure otherwise quasi-government agency can jack this price up and make it what it is whenever they want. So whether it goes away or goes back down in April, it's irrelevant to this case. The point that we're trying to make is it needs to go away in its entirety, and it needs to be proven as unconstitutional. And if we do not fulfill the financial goals and obligations of this to get the lawyer into battle, then this will be around until the next time it happens, and people will complain again, and therein lies a big issue.
Well, right? We haven't even gotten to April yet. We don't even know. That's what they're saying is going to happen, that the rate is going to go back down.
Yeah.
I've yet to see
Nothing's set in stone.
Right.
And again, okay, so they say that it's going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's going to go down, but it's still going to exist like it was before.
Right.
And then what?
Right.
6, 8, 10, 12 months later, another clause or another green something, it's going to come right back again, and it's going to be right there to haunt you all over
this
again.
time, maybe they'll decide to make it 50% of the bill, 60% of the bill.
We want to stop it now.
That's
correct. That's why
correct.
we're doing this.
So the other thing, too, on the banned public benefits charge page, banpbc.com, we have a petition. And what did you say, Eric? We got
250 signers
250
so far.
signers. And there's a place for people to put comments. So I'd encourage you to go to the page and check it out. This is a page that we've put together. It's not a clickbait page. It's not a scam. It's not a phishing thing. It's a legitimate website that Eric put together. And there's testimonials. There's comments from people. These are your neighbors. These are your parents. These are your cousins, your uncles, your kids, whatever. These are real people with real legitimate concerns.
Some of the comments are absolutely horrifying that we've been reading.
It's crazy.
We're not going to disclose them, but
right.
I mean, We feel for people,
and
we
people
really,
truly are struggling, and including us. You know, this is a big nut for all of us to pay for every month, and obviously, when you're putting out those kind of funds, it affects you somewhere else. So there's sacrifices that the normal everyday family is having to make in order to have a simple luxury like electricity. You know, this isn't the dark ages. I mean, I think electricity should be available in every home.
I would think that. I mean,
and it should be at an affordable rate. So with that being said, Eric, did you
why
want to read
can
it?
every other state in the union be able to give their residents cost-effective electricity?
Well, that's the other problem. So Connecticut is the second
and why?
highest rate payer in the country, second to Hawaii. Why is Connecticut so expensive for electricity? And then on top of the rate that we pay, they're throwing the public benefits charge. So, Eric, you had a couple comments you wanted to read on the.
So I do want to read a comment here. This is from Rebecca in Gales Ferry, Connecticut. She writes, "I'm a disabled senior. The public benefits that I am forced to pay is devastating to me. I can't afford a lot of my own medications now, and I'm lucky if I can buy a few groceries. What are you trying to do to us? Please stop." Well, if this isn't a plea, and people, I encourage you to go to the bandpbc.com website. There's a tab on there that I included called The People's Voice or Voices, and I wanted to capture the essence of what these people are saying. You can scroll through these. These comments are from all over the state, all from wide varieties of people, and it just becomes a point to where our legislators need to see this instead of turning their backs on us. And I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. Look, this charge has been around for 40 years. And yes, the Republican side of the House is going to battle it. But the fact of the matter is it should have never gotten to this far.
Correct.
And so, again, like I said, it doesn't matter what political side of the aisle you reside. It's irrelevant in this case because I don't know if Rebecca from Gales Ferry is a Democrat or a Republican or an independent for that matter. It makes no bearing on this story that I'm reading.
Correct. So with that being said, it's money. And I hate to sit up here and sound like I'm begging, but I am begging you. 250 people signed, but out of those people and out of the people that have seen the page and the outreach, I mean, how many total donors have we had?
33.
33 donors.
33, but we have put in close to 1,300 between the website of what. Let's talk about what we've expended. I'm not ashamed to say that either because we took this page to heart. We took after watching the Facebook page for 6 months. We were like, okay, there's a lot of people engaged here. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Nobody's taking the charge. It's great to be able to, excuse my French, bitch and complain on Facebook, but that goes nowhere. That's not part of the process legally nor politically. You can complain till the cows come home, and it's not going to make a difference to anybody. Now, what we've done is we've taken an action, and we've pulled out close, if not 1,300, it's very close to it, and that's just a monetary contribution. I'm not a website designer, right? That website that you're seeing took me between the website and you and the GoFundMe page.
And the social media. I've been managing the social media stuff, trying to put out the content and everything else. So, I mean, our time is worth something.
Right. And we've got over 100 hours tied up into this, just in this aspect of it alone. I mean, believe us, guys, there's so much more we could be doing. The reason why we got behind it is because we thought there would be so many others. And what better way to talk about American patriotism and care for your country than to stand with other people that are struggling and suffering. We understand that not everybody can do this, but look, we can't break $180,000 nut by ourselves.
No,
that's
and that's
not going to happen.
That's where we need everybody. So, I mean, truly, if you want to do something, I don't have any other suggestions other than let's get legal representation. If somebody else has a better idea or a different avenue to take, we are all ears. I mean,
Correct.
we're certainly not experts. We just see an issue and we wanted to take action. So this is the action that we've taken. Either you're with us or you're not with us. I don't know what to tell you. If we don't raise at least $15,000 quickly,
Well, here's the problem with just 15,000, Rich. We got to be realistic here.
that's well, okay. Yeah, let's talk about that.
15,000 gets us across the line to do the research. Okay, that's great. But there's another 150,000 needed on the other side of that fence. If we don't reach that, then okay, we got the research, great. But
Right.
now we're back to square one again. And I'll say this to the people: if anybody wants to volunteer, and let's say you want to be the checks and balances of the accounting records and where the money's going, by all means, you're invited. Obviously, we
100%.
we don't just want some random people in our back offices, but if you're interested, then we have no problem doing that. We're not making a dime from this. This has nothing to do with us pulling or making any money whatsoever.
This is us standing on principle,
That's it.
and that's it.
And at this point, it's almost like we are standing alone. We don't want to be standing alone.
Right.
Yeah.
So right now,
We're here for you.
Our ultimate goal is $150,000. We are at $1,381. That's only 9% of the initial $15,000 that we're looking for. People, this goes nowhere unless we get these goals.
Right.
Now, that leads me to the second part. I've seen a lot of comments about these guys are scamming you. They're scamming you. Two things.
I've got no reason to scam you out of
I'm going to
anything.
say two things. You're spending $1,000 a year in public benefits charge, and you don't want to be scammed out of $20 for a donation.
Well, it's not that you don't want to be. If you really got that much fear about being
Right.
scammed out of 20, you're being scammed out of 1,000.
Correct.
Is the point you're making. We're not scamming anybody.
No, and we've
No.
been fully transparent. You guys see us. We're on the podcast. You see our faces. Our names are out there. We have websites.
I don't know any scammer that's going to work as hard as it
We've
is
got-
for what we're doing.
We've got apparel, we've got shirts, we've got gear, you've got our names, you've got our private message. Like, the other part of it is we're using GoFundMe. If you go on the terms and conditions of GoFundMe, if we did anything other than what we were saying we were going to do with this money, we face jail time and heavy fines.
Losing our homes,
I don't want that.
our
So
property. Right.
this has nothing to do with a scam. This is truly us standing on principle, seeing something that needs to be taken care of and grabbing the bull by the horns and leading it. That's what this is. So once again, we need your help. It's not somebody else's problem. This is our problem. That's your problem. That's your neighbor's problem. That's every single resident in Connecticut that's paying these public benefits charges. It's our problem, and we need to fix it. You're not going to vote it out. You're not going to write to your representative. You're not going to get your senators and President Trump to come and fix your public benefits charge. You're going to have to fight this legally. And for a legal fight, we need financing.
Boots on the ground.
So that's where we stand.
grassroots.
Right. The financing is nothing more than resources. I mean,
That's it.
it's not money to us. I don't care about the money on that aspect. And to be quite frank with everybody, I don't want to have to pay this charge. I'm going to continue to fight against it on my own accord. So be it if I stand alone on it on my individual level. But I can
Right.
I can afford it. Could I afford it 10 years from now, 15? Who knows? But right now, I don't need to be put on a social program to afford this.
So the other thing I want to tell people, and I'm putting this out there publicly, it's also on our website. If we don't reach the goal and we cannot retain a lawyer, we're going to refund everybody that donated their money back. So if this thing doesn't move forward because we didn't get the funds, we're giving you your money back. It's coming back to you.
Everything we can without, I don't know what
Well,
GoFundMe
whatever
will do.
GoFundMe, yeah, there might
Right.
be some fees and whatever else, but
That has nothing to do with us.
yeah, we are not taking any of this money for personal gain. It's not going to a business of ours. It's not going into an escrow account of ours. It's not going into an offshore account. We're using it to pay for a lawyer. And if we can't, we're going to give as much of the money back that we're allowed to do by the GoFundMe policies. So I think we've pretty much made our point. We
Fair
do
enough.
have a caller that we want to get on the line. I think some of you have seen him on the Band Public Benefits page. His name is Mike Sinello. He's pretty well versed. Eric, you spoke to him. What?
Right. Guys, so I came across Mike one night just cruising through the Band public benefits page, and he was giving we call it a podcast lesson, if you will, on writing your congressmen, senators, representatives, state level, and what have you. And so that's kind of how I met Mike, and he's very in tune. This guy loves to read these bills. And when I said, well, you apparently have an affinity for this, and he goes, well, that's an understatement. And
Right.
it kind of made me chuckle, but I think that the way that Mike spoke about this, he digs deep into these bills, and there is a bill on the table that I would like Mike to talk about. Do we have him on the phone?
We can get him on. Just give us a couple seconds. If anybody's got any questions, we'll be happy to answer them in the meantime. We do have some activity in the comments section. And I think Jenny's kicking butt down there.
Thank you, Jenny. And we are going to stick around after this phone call to interact with you guys on the Facebook page. But Mike has a limited time, so we want to get his phone call going. Do-do-do-do.
Hey, hello.
Hey, Mike. It's Eric, Rich, and Rob over here talking about the banned public benefits charge. We wanted to introduce you to the. I don't know if you're watching the video now or not, but we wanted to get your input here, as well as make your introduction, who you are, what your attachment is to this. It's not in a direct attachment to us, but other than, hey, we all believe in the same thing. But Mike, if you could just go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewers, and I'll ask any questions to kind of feed you or lead you down the path here, and to see if the viewers can get a good picture of what it is that you do and who you are as a person.
Yeah, so my name is Mike Sennello. I'm on Facebook as Michael Sennello, Sennello. That's my politics page. I'm also on YouTube. My channel on YouTube is Captain Phoenix, all one word. So those are places where you guys can find me. And who I am is just a landscaper in Connecticut who is literate and got kind of sucked into politics many years ago. Extension of all of that. So I have podcasts that I've been doing when I can, because as I own my own business, you do these things on the side when you can. And the thing that the hill that I'm kind of dying on now is in relation to these public benefits charges, and broadly just the outrage around our electric bills. Right now, my cousin is moving out of her apartment and moving back in with her aunt and uncle. And she's not some recent college grad that's doing this too. She's in her 30s and has a kid. And she got her last electric bill and called me crying and said, "Listen, I can't do this." So she's completely moving out of her apartment this weekend. And this is something that, like I said, this is a hill I've been looking to die. I'm dying on. And the bill that made it through the very first stages of committee is Senate Bill 647, and it does kind of a lot of things. And I'd be happy to go into greater details to what that bill does.
Dance floor is yours, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Senate Bill 647, and I'm going to say that a few times now so people at home catch it. Senate Bill 647, Senate Bill 647 is one of the best bills before the Energy and Technology Committee, as far as things that are actually going to effectuate change here in this state when it comes to your electric bill. Yes, one of those items is an explicit ban on the public benefits charges on your electric bills. And what that would do with those charges is bring those 41 charges that aren't itemized in your electric bill before the legislative floor, where they belong and where they can be voted on and decided on individually, and where you'll have actual daylight on these charges. And I've been through some of them. It's really hard to find them, and it's all in like 50 pages of legalese per item. And it's really hard reading. But the short version of this is that by getting it itemized before the Senate floor, or before the legislative floor, you actually have the opportunity to say, whoa, wait a minute. And just like DOJ is doing right now at the federal level, you'd have the opportunity to have daylight on these wacky things that are in this bill. And in many cases, they're just going to get eliminated. Now, some of these things are contractually obligated items that it's going to be hard for us to get out of. And then some of these things are federal mandates. Small number of them are federal mandates that are going to be even harder for us to get out of, and probably something that we can't get out of through the state legislative process. And that would take something at the federal level for us to get out of, or just a colossal lawsuit, which I don't frankly think the folks in Hartford are willing to engage in. So you asked me about how I got involved in all this, so I want to share something. So I am in your chat, right? Oh, I just left your chat because it was getting hard to, listen to you guys, with that 30 seconds of latency, while with me at the same time. It's like calling into the radio station while the radio is
Right.
on
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me get you guys pulled up, and so I can start sharing some links in the chat for folks. But what I did is I went through. So the committee that matters is the Energies and Technologies Committee, because if we're going to resolve any of this through the legislative process, that's the committee that's going to see those bills. So the bills that matter are the bills that are going to be before the Energies and Technologies Committee. So let me just share a link real quick in the chat for you guys for the link to that membership, so you guys can see that. And right now there are around 140 to 150 different bills that are before the Energy and Technologies Committee. So what I did is I went through every single one of those bills, and I put together a scorecard that's on a Google sheet. And again, I'll share the link to that in the chat right now as well.
Mike, can you explain to the audience what you mean by scorecard?
Yes. So on that link that I just dropped in the chat for everybody, it's hard for me to just say the link because it's a weird Google Doc link, Google Sheet link.
We got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead and steal that if you want. So what the scorecard is basically something that looks like an Excel spreadsheet, but done through Google so anyone can see it at any time. And what I did was I listed all of the bills on a row, right? So each bill gets its own row. The number of the bill, so let's say House Bill 5534, or in this case Senate Bill 647, it's in the far left column, and I've embedded links to each bill. So it brings you right to the bill's listing on the Connecticut General Assembly's website. And then I gave a rating. So the ratings go basically scale of -10 to +10. How good is it? And by that I mean, what is its effect going to be on your electric bills, part one, and part two, is it on principle good or bad? And this is kind of just a pure opinion of mine in terms of what I think of the bill. And I think we're all in alignment based on our conversations as to what we think is good and what we think is bad, broadly speaking, and especially as it relates to these particular bills. And then I looked at I assessed on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the likelihood of this bill actually passing? Because some of these bills are really, really, really good, but also have no hope of passing through the legislature and no hope of getting out of committee. And then I basically figured a final score of how much attention should we be focusing on, right? So you don't want to have the bills that are 10 out of 10 going to pass no matter what, right? No matter how good or bad they are, but you're kind of wasting your time focusing any energy on those bills. And by doing that, I created a final score that's basically out of 100. And then, well, out of 100 in terms of like positive 100 for the good bills and negative 100 for the really bad bills. And what you can do is, because I've sorted by that and color coded everything, you can very quickly see what are the bills that are worth focusing our time and energy on as just citizens, as just residents of Connecticut. So one of the bills that's way up on top is Senate Bill 647. And the news that came out last week was this bill that I did not think was going to make it anywhere in the committee actually has achieved a public hearing. A public hearing is where you and I and the general public get to go before the committee in person and on Zoom. So we could do it from home. You could do it from your phone, take a quick lunch break, if you will, an early lunch break, go to the public hearing, and you get to say your piece to the committee that matters. And we can go into like what the committee process if you want to. It's kind of really getting into the weeds. But the short version is, according to Steve Harding, who was on my show several weeks ago, and has been on my show many times now, who is the Senate minority leader now, he said on our show, and I have a clip on my YouTube channel explaining this, that every bill lives and dies in committee. Every bill that makes it out of committee is going to make it past the legislature. The leadership on both parties isn't going to let any bill get out of committee that isn't going to pass on the legislative floor. So the people that need our attention, the body that needs our attention, is the Energies and Technologies Committee. So I'm going to really quickly share. I don't know if I shared this yet. So this is the listing of the bill itself, and you can find on there from that link the text of the bill, which actually isn't that long if we want to read it. But in very brief, like I said, the first item on the bill is to get those public benefits charges off of your electric bills and before the legislative floor where they should be. And then it's going to do things like, we shouldn't get into too much of the weeds, but there's this other part of your bill that you don't realize is being jacked up for no reason, which is supply. And that's because there are certain regulations that energy retailers, who are the middlemen that collect the energy generation and then sell it to the electric distribution companies that are UI and Eversource. So it's not like Eversource is buying Millstone's power. Well, they are, but it's not like Eversource is buying, from a power plant directly. They're buying from a retailer. So there's mandates that they buy certain types of electricity called Class 1 renewables, Class 2 renewables, Class 3 renewables. 38% of what they buy has to be in these classifications, and they're ludicrously expensive. Yeah. They're between 8 and 10 times the going rate. So this bill is going to put a cap on what these EDCs are basically what these EDCs are allowed to buy in terms of the rate, which means we're basically de facto dissolving the REX program that effectuates that mandate. We're going to redefine Class 1 renewables energy sources to include nuclear, which is 8 times cheaper than the going rate, again, at Class 1 renewables. And for some reason, nuclear, the cleanest, safest, and long-term cheapest form of, and most reliable and long-term the cheapest form of electricity, isn't a renewable of any kind, let alone Class 1. So that's going to lower that supply rate. 4 is going to separate PURA from DEEP, because for some reason PURA answers to DEEP. And these two bodies are in definitional conflict in terms of their interest. One is supposed to serve ratepayers. One is supposed to cram down green energy bills. They are in obvious opposition, those intentions. Right. So clear conflict of interest. And 5, it's going to eliminate any incentive program that increases electrical demand. So these are your EV charging stations, like that part of your bill. That's going to go. And then 6, study methods by which supply of natural gas may be increased in the state. So that's just a study, and my opinion on studies is they don't really mean anything until I see something effectuated, and they wind up just costing us money. But it's a baby step in the right direction.
A baby step in what? All of 647, or you just that aspect?
That aspect is one of the 6 items that are in Senate Bill 647.
Okay.
And, a study looking at ways that we could get more natural gas in the state and increase the supply, to use the economics term, naturally, it's a good thing, but it's kind of meaningless until it actually materializes. But in any case, this bill is the bill. This is the one that's got, I think it's now 13 co-signers already. This is the one that we have to get behind. So Eric reached out to me because I had a podcast this past weekend going over writing to your state senators, writing to your state reps. So the last thing that I'll just share real quick is I also put together some writing advice and a style guide with some sample letters in case people want to, let me get this in the comment, in case people actually want to write their representatives. The final thing actually I put together, and I'll have to share this real quick, is a Discord server. Let me share this link for you. Discord is basically, imagine Facebook, but with way better organization, way better organizing of events listings. It's way more private, if you will, and also allows for direct voice and video dialing with way better screen sharing features. So it is, without a doubt, the best service there is for organizing actual action. And we've already had 2 or 3 letter writing events on that Discord server, and we've already sent out those letters. So that's the whole story. I've used up a ton of your time.
No. We want this, Mike.
This is our time.
Mike, this is fantastic.
Yep, great stuff. Thank you.
So, Mike, I do have some. Are you still there?
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
So, all right, just so we've heard of bills going to the floor, and albeit it's your opinion that it's got a good chance of passing. my view on this is if we can get this combined public benefits charge to set a precedent in the court of law, then it would change laws not just in this state but as well as other states, and be the boilerplate argument, so to speak, that could alter or change the course to prevent other fees, whether it be through utilities or what have you, or state agencies from imposing these fees. I think this would be a significant boon to setting that precedent. What is your opinion on what we're doing in conjunction with the bill that's going through? I mean, would you say to continue the path forward? Would you say dead duck? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really qualified to give offer a direct opinion on your specific,
Well, it's
on
an
the specific
opinion, Mike.
details of your suit. Yeah, but I really don't. I haven't been following it well enough to say that in this particular case, it's likely to achieve a particular outcome. But anything that is working toward achieving the goal. The goal is to get rid of these public benefits. That's the goal. And there are many ways you can achieve that. The way that I've been focusing on is through the legislature. It's through legislative means. We have another form of government, and that's the judiciary. You guys are working through the judiciary. There is another way that this could be achieved, which is through the political process, which is actually the best way to do this. But unfortunately, we lost. We lost in November, and this is what we have available to us. So for those folks who are going to say, listen, like the best way to do this is to stop electing Democrats, you're not wrong. But we have to also live in reality. And reality is right now, there's not an election going on. So we're using the methods we have to effectuate this change.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
Absolutely
we're
well
using
said,
what we
yeah.
have left.
Yeah.
Right, left.
We're-
That's a great point.
We're taking the whack on the judicial side.
So yeah, I mean, to your point, we've kind of focused our energy on one aspect of it. You're focusing your energy on the other aspect, which is great because, when we can sit in this room of 20,000 members and blow a bunch of hot air, but until somebody actually takes action and does something, it's worthless. So, I got to take my hats off and applaud you for taking an action. And I want to thank you for giving us your time to call in and providing all those links. And we'll definitely look into that stuff as well. And, and this is the kind of input that we need from this page. We need engagement from the people. The people are the power. And this is what drives change. If we sit back and do nothing and just accept status quo, nothing changes.
Right. Facebook is not the process. Facebook is a platform that we can all meet on, agree on the same things that we're meeting on, and then now take a plan of action. So, there's other aspects to this, and as Rich had stated, I do appreciate it. Mike, there was a reason why I reached out to you. I think it was around 10 o'clock at night when I started watching, and then we concluded. I think we didn't get off the phone until around 11.
Yeah, it was closer to midnight, but
yeah.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. So it was your affinity for these deep dives into the bills. You can get lost in the weeds with a lot of these bills that are put forward. And when I had brought that up to you, you were like, well, it's kind of an understatement, which made me chuckle. But I also appreciate because, a lot of people think that you have to be a lawyer to read these bills. Is that true, Mike?
The ones that are being proposed right this moment, no,
Okay.
because we're in the proposal stage and these bills are like one sentence long. This is a rare case, this bill that I'm talking about, Senate Bill 647, where it's anything longer than 2 sentences. And this whole bill is half a page. And there are some things that are in some of these bills where you kind of have to have a basic background, a basic understanding of some of the things that they mention. But in terms of the English, it's not like it's legalese. Eventually, this is going
Right.
to become undigestible hundreds of pages of legalese. But right now, in terms of the ideas that we're backing, it's in plain English. And anyone should be able to go to that scorecard that I put together and read through all of these bills as they've been proposed. And for those that don't, there's some legalese in some of the stuff. Like I said, in that scorecard, I put a description of every bill in the plainest English I possibly could. And, what's nice about Google Sheets is you have the ability as the author to enter like commentary on each cell. So imagine an Excel spreadsheet where you have a final number, let's say, and somebody says, well, wait, what? How did you get to that number? I don't quite understand that. And I'm not following the code inside of each cell. Well, you can attach a comment to that, which allows you to click on the cell and it brings up the comment. It allows you to describe some of those things. So there's additional commentary as well as just the description of what the bills would do.
So with that, Mike, I mean, part of my backbone was I used to design weapon systems for the government, and more so than doing the design aspect, it was heavily burdened with understanding the legal aspect, and I did more legal fighting in a lot of instances than I did actual design aspects. Well, with that, what concerns me, as you just stated, is, well, this bill isn't that long. It's a couple sentences here and there, which once lawyers start getting a hold of it, now the bill starts growing and definitions start changing, and then it's the same old adage: the can gets kicked down the road because of the legalese aspect that's going to be tied into this. Albeit that I do 100% agree that it should not be. This is pretty clear, cut, and dry, and straightforward in my eyes. It's straightforward in a lot of people's eyes, but the people are the ones that are being railroaded by the bureaucrats and politicians who want to manipulate the languages and then insert their power accordingly. That's my view on this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Well,
does.
I've read 1984, and yeah, the party seeks power entirely for its own sake, as they say.
Correct. And so, that lends it's an answer to my question to you initially. So, our goal is to continue this from, like you said, the judicial front or judicial review front, and then so that way it's a two-prong attack, and maybe even a three-prong attack, because there's a number of things that are going on here that we've written a few representatives on, and they respond back with, well, I'm not a lawyer. I'm like, no, but you're the representative of the people. Am I speaking plain English here? It comes down to the point that Chris Tucker scene where, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? There's no need for any of this other wacky stuff. Look, it's simple. And I'll tell you one of the things that confined us in contract law. If the word or the language in the contract was not extracted from the simplified or standard English dictionary, that contract was null and void. And there's a lot of these bills out there where they're not in compliance with it either, because the entire intent of a bill or our politicians and or the laws that are passed is they need to be in plain English so everybody can understand them, at least with the fifth grade education, and not be bamboozled by anybody. So that is the entire intent of law, government law, in that matter. And oftentimes we see that they do not abide by those rules either. It should be very straightforward and simple, Mike.
They like to make it complicated to confuse people.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of my mission, right? Is to make some of this legalese just digestible. Right. And like, again, the goal is to get rid of these public benefits charges. My secondary goal, at least, is to also get these electric bills more in line with where they should be. I'm sure you guys have heard that Connecticut has the highest average electric bill in America and the second highest average electric rates in the continental U.S., behind only California. What's crazy is that people, the proverbial other side is going to gaslight you and say, well, that's just because we're in New England and it's really expensive in New England. Well, not true, because in New Hampshire and Maine, those average rates are way, way below what we pay. In fact, we pay just about a third more per kilowatt hour than folks in New Hampshire do. And that's a more sparsely populated and way colder state. So it should be more, if anything, if we have an actual proper market that functions, it should be more per kilowatt hour in New Hampshire, and it isn't. And what that tells you right there is the entire problem is policy.
Well, the policy is also agenda driven in the sense of belief, right? Let me give you an example. Solar, any net energy solar that's being bought back. What I mean by that, any energy that the homeowner doesn't use, the quantities of it don't use, is considered excess. I'm sorry, I used the wrong language there. The net is what the homeowner gets. The excess gets sold back to the grid, and it's sold back at 20 cents per kilowatt hour, and it's going up. Now, that is far more than the what do they call that rate? Where they buy it in
Market
bulk.
rate.
Just the wholesale rate.
The wholesale rate. That's what I was looking
at 2
for.
to 3 cents per.
Right. So they're 4-6x higher because of an agenda, a political agenda, and therein lies the disenfranchisement of the people that disagree with this, right? And now you've taken that burden of your political agenda and you've imposed that upon everybody, whereas this public, what they're calling a benefit, is actually a penalty. And I'll add to that what I'm saying here. So I called around a few friends of mine who have solar panels on their roof, and I asked them, are you paying into this combined public benefits charge? And they looked it up, and they say, yeah, well, they're paying into it, but at a much, much lower rate than any one of us that are on this podcast right now watching this video. They're paying an extremely lower rate. Now, what that does is that definitely moves this from a benefit into a penalty for those people who do not have the solar. And that's who's buying the 20 cents per kilowatt rate. That's why our combined public benefits charge is so high.
Well, it's actually worse. It's worse than what you're describing.
Okay.
If I'm allowed to get into the weeds. Yeah. So that 20 cents a kilowatt hour is the grid level price. The grid level price doesn't actually go back directly into the EDCs. It goes through retailers or the green bank, because that's how the statutes are written. So it's not even like in the end, it's not even like that 20 cents a kilowatt hour is what you wind up paying back for it. The rate you're paying it back on is more like 40 cents a kilowatt hour.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
So and that's because of the renewable portfolio standard I mentioned in passing, and through the REX mandates that I mentioned in passing as well.
He's sharp. Real sharp.
Good.
Yes. So, I kind of have to take off, but I just want to say real quick to everyone, thanks for having me on. And again, I'm looking to actually effectuate change. So if you guys want to follow me, Michael Sinello on Facebook or Captain Phoenix on YouTube, I'm trying to get this thing to change. So what I'm doing is I'm putting together events, and I'm going to be rolling out some in-person events in the very near future to move the thing forward and get more activity on especially Senate Bill 647. So guys, get behind Senate Bill 647. And it would be very helpful if you guys let the folks over at 56+1 know where a good place, if you're willing to meet up in person, where a good place is. I'm in New Milford. I can easily do things in New Milford, but I know a lot of people aren't. So love to get that feedback.
Yeah, I mean, we're up in we're north of you, kind of central state.
Manchester, Hartford area.
Yeah. So it's but it doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, it's about pulling people together, and okay, if we can establish a central meeting place, then I think you're going to be able to capture that on video as well, and saying, guys, this is what we're doing. Look, I have no interest in being in politics, zero whatsoever. But I do have an interest in standing on the principles that this nation was founded on and following through with the cornerstones that the Constitution established. So with that, there was a question in here. Somebody said, we need more guys like Mike Sinello. I don't disagree. But those more guys are you. It's me. It's right. Everybody. We're the guys that are doing something. To expect somebody else to be there. Look, you have to understand that the mirror is only reflective of who's standing in front of it. So that is us. That is the people at the top of our documents. It's enshrined. We the people, and we have to be engaged. So I can't express that anymore. And the Constitution is only going to be as strong as those that stand and support it. Unfortunately, for 250 years, it's always been 6 to 7% of the population. So it needs more than that now. It needs to culminate on the basis of principle here, and it needs to be in the masses.
Mike,
yes.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate the call in, and I know we'll be in touch. But have a great night.
You too, guys. See you later.
Yep. Thanks.
Take
Mike.
care.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great night.
Good stuff.
I agree.
Very smart guy. Sounds like he enjoys his research. Got a lot of good information up there. So that all those links and everything that he posted on the live video will be there. So I I think he's probably got those all consolidated in a certain place as well. So I know that he's available on the band public benefits page. I know that he wouldn't mind if people want to message him or reach out on his, what did he say, Captain Phoenix? Was that?
Right. That's what I
Yep.
gathered. One
Captain
word.
I'll
Phoenix.
have to grab some of his information and put that out there. But anyway, is there any other questions? I know some people dropped in and dropped out, but I mean, basically that's what we wanted to capture tonight. And I guess we'll probably plan on coming back on here in a week or so and providing another update. But we just need to see this thing moving forward, and it's up to us. It's not they, it's us.
Right.
So we need everybody.
That's correct.
Anybody in the chat room have any particular questions that they would like to ask? Any comments? Stick around for another minute or so.
Yeah, everybody's been real receptive. They're happy to jump in on board. You know, a lot of people complimenting Mike. They've read through the spreadsheet, which we did actually open up his spreadsheet. It's very in depth. He goes through 147 different line items across the board, and like he says, he has his rating system, and he really does get down deep into it. So, I mean, just for him to put together that amount of data and to put it out there and to share it for the people, I mean, I think Mike did a fantastic job, really, of explaining everything. But, you know, in another aspect, Mike, you know, it goes back to the other thing. A lot of us are home, you know, after work or with our children, our families, or whatever the case may be. It's kind of, we kind of get lost in the weeds. We don't really know how this stuff exactly works. And that's, you know, we're guilty of that ourselves.
Sure.
But, you know, through what our efforts and everything, we've actually enlightened ourselves, and we're learning the process and how it goes through. Mike taking the legislative portion, we're taking more of the judicial portion. And I really think Mike brings us to the watering trough. He helps guide you there. From there, you can start to read and go through and decipher and learn on your own, which I think is a great place for him to steer people. I think he did an incredible job.
Absolutely.
And I'm really hope Mike comes back and we can have him again.
I agree. It takes all of us. So I don't really see any other comments. I see some thank yous, and I do want to thank everybody for tuning in and offering their comments and just kind of listening to what we have to say. Thank Mike again for calling in, and we will check back with you as soon as we know when we're going to go live again. We'll put an announcement out there on the Band Public Benefits Facebook page, and we hope you guys have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
I'm Eric, and I'm signing off. Rich?
I'm Rich, signing off.
And I'm Rob. I'm signing off. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Thank you, guys.